boy, do we have a lot to talk about. This week we discuss how some folks are outright wrong about some AEW talent, how some folks are absolutely right about their feelings on Survivor Series, and how we see WrestleMania 41 as we head into sign-pointing season. Ease out of your 4-day weekend with some FWP.
You're listening to the soon-to-be-named network, the Lamborghini of podcast networks. FWP, so good I listen weekly. Welcome to Final Wrestling Place.
Hit him with the pose.
That's right. I'm Tim.
I'm still Marcus.
And welcome back to another edition of Final Wrestling Place. Thank you for joining us on Final Wrestling Place number 279. And wherever you found us, however you found us, whether it was Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or by other means, you can always find us and a hearty helping of other podcasts on the soon-to-be-named network at soon-to-be-named-network.tumblr.com. For us, go to our Linktree, Linktree/TM shows, where you can find where you can see us across the board. But as we mentioned, we have a lot to discuss today. We're going to talk about some takes we've been seeing about a select few AEW talents. We're giving you the viewer's choice on Survivor Series. And revisiting something we did during SummerSlam, we're going back to the pool and we're going to re-look at our booking sheet to see where we may be prognosticating a April 19th, April 20th, 2-night spectacular known as WrestleMania. But first, Marcus, how are you, buddy?
Well, look who's tiptoeing down the chimney. Happy Toyota-thon and Merry Christmas to all who celebrate. It's Tim and Marcus with Viewer's Choice and Final Wrestling Place. I'm good, man. How are you? That was my alternate intro for the show.
Yeah, you was there, and there was like Doc Hendricks, and I felt like there was somebody else there too. It felt like Vince McMahon.
Duke Ellington?
Yeah, like the ghost of Duke Ellington.
What the hell?
Well, she was a looker. You kind of sounded like Vince McMahon during halftime heat.
That's not good. Oh.
Where
yeah.
he's like, oh, if this is your first time watching the World Wrestling Federation, it's a little bit of action, adventure, soap opera, Roadrunner, all wrapped into one. It's like, get out of here with that crap. Dude, I gotta tell you, I used to be super excited about long weekends like this, where you have off a couple of days and then you have your weekend and then you go back to work on Monday.
That must be nice.
Well, Marcus, I don't know what to tell you. Normal people have days off. I don't know what to tell you.
Please tell me the problems with having multiple days off. I'm dying to hear.
Here's what it is. Your schedule gets thrown off. Thursday felt like Saturday. Friday felt like Sunday. And then you have another Saturday and another Sunday.
That's awful.
It is.
Sounds sorry for your hardship.
I'm not saying it was hard. I'm just saying, like, you got to get your body, like, your body's all floppy. Like, it's when your mindset isn't quite there and you're not feeling days that they're supposed to be. Because Thanksgiving was that was a Saturday butt day. Like, that was the most Saturday day of my whole life. Just went out, had food, came back. Cool. I hung out with some friends. And then Friday happened. What did I do? Nothing. The same thing I do on Sundays. Absolutely nothing. But, I know. Did you have to work on Black Friday?
Sure did.
Hey. Well, now, was it a floating holiday? Like, was it extra time for you, or was it everybody had to be there?
That's it. Everybody got to be there. The joys of working in healthcare super secret science job.
Yeah, man, you got to get out of
get
that.
a handful of holidays, and if you're lucky, but
You got to get out of that.
I do what I like to call a like in-person holiday.
Okay, like a staycation, but for work.
Yeah. So yeah, Friday, got a couple snacks, kick my feet up, wait for I did some team building, some relationship maintenance with people, different people I'm cool with at work. Just some different team building and bonding exercises, like talking crap about everybody we don't like, and eating snacks, and then just wait for 3:00 when the Chiefs played on Black Friday. Another victory, never a doubt. But yeah, that was my Black Friday.
Hey man, did you get to go? Did you or the consortium do any Black Friday shopping?
Nope.
Huh? Easy.
No, think of the past. I think it's dead. R.I.P. 7 years ago.
It's absolutely not dead.
I think it's dead, man. I don't think that's the thing people do anymore.
It absolutely is.
Nah, it's dead. That's all I got for banter, though.
You're already out. You're just cashed out already.
I'm out. It kills me.
Golly. Yeah. You'd think a guy'd want to talk to his best friend. Like, we talk once a week, and the most you want to talk to me, that's it. All right. Well, blind rankings, folks.
Everything I want to say is really mean. I shouldn't say it to my for a raw version of Final Wrestling Place. Yeah.
Who knew? All right, if it's your first time listening to us, your first time in a long time, we do blind rankings where Marcus has a topic, I have a topic. We got 5 items on the list, and we are going to blindly rank them 1 to 5 in whatever sort of order we like. Marcus, much like tithing at church, is both the gift and the giver in this notion. So I'm guessing you are going to lay it on me first.
Oh, yeah, I'm a giver, baby.
That's
right.
What
I do. Mr. Tim.
Yes.
Been a lot of talk this week about interviews, journalistic integrity.
Oh, you're gonna get me on a hot topic already.
Follow-up questions.
Yep.
So I'm gonna ask you, Mr. Tim.
Sure.
Within the world of wrestling, I want you to blind rank these 5 wrestling interviewers / backstage correspondents.
Heck yes. I don't know if there's anybody more qualified for you to ask this of than me.
All right. First one, out of a cannon. Kayla Braxton.
Hey, Kayla.
Did you go to journalism for that?
Okay. So here's my thing with Kayla, okay? Kayla is excellent when she's with Paul Heyman or the Iconics. But other than that, Kayla is a jag.
Okay.
Just another girl. No offense. She's fantastic. But she doesn't shine unless she's with Paul or the Iconics. So for that, unfortunately, Kayla, 4.
Okay. Next one for you. Mean Gene Okerlund.
1 or 2, man. Like, you can't
put that cigarette out.
Like, you can't not, he is still the bar. He's still the bar. Like, everyone now currently who is doing it at a high level or say, "Oh, I'm trying to do Mean Gene." Mean Gene wasn't doing anybody. He was just doing him. I've already considered it. 1. Mean Gene, number 1. All respect to Miss Renee, who will probably be on this list. She is going to be number 2. But Mean Gene Okerlund, number 1.
Next one for you. SmackDown's number 1 announcer, Funaki.
5. Hard 5. Don't even need to consider it. It isn't even a language thing. I just thought the whole thing sucked.
Next up for you, Todd Pettengill.
All right, middle of the road 3. He's not a hard newsman. He's definitely a lollygagger. He's a jokester. But he could get some stuff done. I think most of his hard journalism surrounded Mattel's Karate Fighters, which was great. Somebody needed to call that tournament, and Todd Pettengill's the man for the job, baby. But yeah, Todd Pettengill 3, which means number 2 is
Miss Renee.
Miss Renee. I knew it. I knew it when I saw it. Miss Renee, man, she is fantastic at what she does. I think she does backstage interviewing and personality pieces. Like she has a total package. Like she's a little bit less than Mean Gene Okerlund, but I don't know if Mean Gene ever really did personality pieces like Renee does. Like Mean Gene obviously has like the famous one of like being with Hulk in the gym and like sweating it out. And he's got the one with your and I's personal favorite of a walk through the zoo with George the Animal Steel.
Detroit.
Bundy. What's your favorite tiger?
Detroit.
But I think overall, Renee is overall number 1, but backstage wise, Mean Gene Okerlund is number 1 with a bullet. But you got before I get on my subject, or actually, we'll talk about it a little bit with our first topic. So I will put a pin in that. We'll come back to interviewman, and such and things. But Marcus, I have your list.
All right.
I have your list. I was inspired by a meme that was sent in one of our...
Inspiration, you say?
Yeah, a little inspiration. One eye inspiration.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was inspired. I had a stroke of inspiration from a meme that I saw in one of our many group chats we're in with different people. So, Marcus, I want you to rank these tag team championship partners of Adam Edge Copeland.
All right.
Okay.
I'm writing it down. All right. You don't like Edge?
Y'all
all right,
like,
I'm in.
What do you
Let's
mean
go.
y'all don't like Edge? Number 1, one half of Rated RKO, Randy Orton.
This is a strong 2 for me.
Oh.
A strong 2. I love Rated RKO. I just thought it was a dope super team.
Right.
It was 2 equals, but they also didn't feel like completely unbeatable like some super teams of the past. I was just like, it's also very timely. I know where, some people may or may not be nostalgic for the late mid 2000s, but
almost 20 years ago, bud.
being of like high school age during that time, like those 2 dudes were really cool. Like when I grew up, I wanted to be like Edge and Randy Orton. Like, I don't know, they're tall, they're successful, they get babes, they look cool, good wrestlers, great wrestlers, depending on who you ask. If you ask me, they are. Tall, everything. So
both had an affinity for chicken rice and Nutella.
Let's give it up.
Yeah.
Let's give it up. Some might say still want to be like them. So yeah.
Well,
strong 2 for me.
I'll be sending you a plank board for Christmas to help you out. Next up, Rey Mysterio.
Ooh. A very great time for SmackDown.
Heck yes.
Edge had just worked himself out of being a tag guy, had a little bit of a singles run on SmackDown as like a true upper mid-carder. Was definitely on the main event trajectory heading into 2003 before the neck injury. I'm going to put Rey Mysterio as a 3.
Okay.
It was fun. He was an equal and not quite a super team, but also didn't feel thrown together either.
Gotcha. Next up is Chris Benoit.
So they win the titles because of it's either Taboo Tuesday or Cyber Sunday. I can't remember which at the time.
I think it's Taboo Tuesday.
Taboo Tuesday. Yeah, it's Taboo Tuesday. And this is out of Shawn winning the fan voting with a bum knee.
That's right.
And Edge is really heating up at this time, and it's getting to like poop or get off the pot with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he is really clicking into a different gear following SummerSlam, where he got booed in his hometown. This is where I really, really, really start to like Edge. I'm gonna put Benoit as a 4.
Okay. I love where this is going already. I can't.
It was a title reign where it was like officially like Edge is above this.
Right.
Edge is above this. And he acted as such, and I thought that was cool.
Considering I don't even think that they had one defense together as a team, because I think when they lost it, Edge left Benoit out to dry, and I think Benoit had to 2v1 against, was it like Caden Murdoch or La Resistance?
2005. It's a good chance it's La Resistance.
La Resistance?
Hold on.
I want to look it up.
Carlito and Masters. Wait,
it's
not Carlito and Masters. Who did? I don't know, because it's 04 going into 05. It's 04 going into 05. Okay, so they lost the titles in 05. Eminem's the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Who would have been getting the titles on Raw?
I'm taking a look.
It's Eminem. It's Eddie and Ray on SmackDown. So who would have been on Raw? I'm gonna guess it's La Resistance.
Yeah, I'm taking a look right now. There's too many effing tag team titles on WWE. Trying to go through Wikipedia, the most trusted source in all of wrestling news. So they won the titles. Taboo Tuesday, it was La Resistance, November 1st. Okay. And then 2 weeks later, Eugene and William Regal.
It must have been a tag team turmoil then.
For what?
They must have been in like a tag team turmoil where like Edge left Benoit in order to get the titles on Eugene and Regal.
Well, no. So La Resistance beat Benoit and Edge straight up.
Oh, okay. They beat him. Okay, gotcha.
And then 2 weeks later, Eugene and Regal win a triple threat tag with Rhino and Tajiri.
Gotcha.
Yep. The team of Robert Conway and Sylvain Grenier. But we're not talking about the Raw tag team titles. We're talking about blind rankings. Next up, Chris Jericho. Just so you know, you have 1 and 5 left. And yeah, just
So even though it was very short and came to an end because we thought Edge's career was over with the Achilles injury.
The first Achilles injury I remember hearing about in wrestling.
Yes. Yeah. Remember this there was like he got on the house mic and like apologized, and he like was like, "This might be it." Like
I'm dead, guys.
I'm gonna give Jericho 1.
Good, because
I'm gonna go 1.
I would have hated for you to have put Bad Terry at 1.
Well, safe to say Bad Terry's slide in at number 5.
Yes.
4th of July SmackDown 2002. I remember that SmackDown pretty well. That was fun and exciting, but it wasn't meant to last long. I think they end up losing the titles at Vengeance. Yeah.
I don't think they hold them that long.
I think they lose them at the pay-per-view,
which is like a week and a half.
Yeah, it's like 2 or 3 weeks later.
Yeah.
That Vengeance show rocks. It's got a really cool triple threat with an Angle, Taker, and Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
The final boss.
Bloodline
rules. Anything goes. The final boss. You got to do the hand motions. You got to cut them right in the middle, and then you cut them the other way. So to go over our blind rankings, I gave Marcus tag team champions with Edge. He has Jericho 1, Orton 2, Mysterio 3, Chris Benoit, notable triple bunny eater Chris Benoit, ahead of future Senator of Florida, Bad Terry. And then yours for me is
coming at number 5, SmackDown number 1 announcer Funaki. Number 4, Caleb Braxton. Number 3, Todd Pettengill. Number 2, Miss Renee. And number 1 for wrestling backstage interviewers, Mean Gene Okerlund.
Mean Woo, by God, Gene. His full
I need to correct myself. I meant to say SmackDown's number 1 announcer when I was talking about Funaki, and I just said SmackDown, and I didn't mean to do a racism, so I apologize. That's my bad.
No, you were good. It wasn't a racism, it was an homage. You weren't
Felt like I was a little too close to the sun.
Dog, you were doing a Brucey impression of Funaki.
I mean, his official title is SmackDown's number 1 announcer, and I left off the S by accident.
Number one announcer. Number 1.
He is SmackDown's number 1 announcer.
Yeah, SmackDown number 1 announcer. Yep. That's what it is.
I just want to make sure I wasn't doing the racism. That's all.
You're not. You're clear. Okay. There's no racism going on in here. We're all on the trust tree. Everything here, YouTube terms of service, entertainment purposes only. We're just a couple of guys doing a couple of bits, okay? But this is not a bit. There has been serious business over there. What are you drinking today? What is that?
Special holiday edition Blackberry Canada Dry Ginger Ale.
Dog, that
practically great medicine.
You're black, but you be drinking some of the whitest things I've ever heard of in my life.
This is purple. I know it says blackberry, but I was like, this is grape flavoring. Dog, this is purple ginger ale.
You know, you could just drink scissor and you get your purple drink a different way. But you doing that Shannon Sharp, drinking a Mountain Dew on set. Boy. So there was talks going around this week.
Shannon Sharp, you know what I'm saying?
I love Shannon. Just don't go on IG Live and throw your phone off the bed. You know what I mean? Know what I mean, Vern? I don't want to have to explain a Michelle incident. I could talk back a lot of stuff you might do on the internet. I don't know if I could talk back that one.
Right, get us back on course.
You'd have a lot worse than to be doing bad Funaki impressions if that happened. Dog, you gotta check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Gotta wear it with pride.
You do. Wait, Keke Palmer took a swing at Uncle Aunt Shay Shay. That was it. That's all I knew. Okay, we're shifting gears back into what we're talking about. So this past week, not one but two interviews go live. The first of all, a fantastic piece by Miss Renee on her Up Close series with Powerhouse Will Hobbs. Which immediately got me like thinking and like watching it. And if you did not watch Renee's piece with Powerhouse Hobbs, it'll be linked in the description for the podcast as well as on the YouTube. It'll be there. So check that out so you can follow along. If you don't know Will Hobbs' story, I thought I knew it. And then I listened to the podcast or I listened to the interview and I'm taken away. I'm just blown away by Will Hobbs' story and where he's at now and where he's going. But there was another interview that took place this week by Insight's Chris Van Vliet, human interviewer, with Starkman Jones, Ricky Starks. Now, before we get into the content of the interview, I do want to... This is going to sound like I'm bootlicking, and that's okay. I take the stance people don't take on this network. Not every interviewer is a investigative journalist. Some people just do personality pieces, and they're not here to ask the hard questions. They're here to build relationships to make sure that they can stay at the table with people. Chris Van Vliet, if you are looking to anyone to ask any hard question about anything, don't load your gun with the first bullet known as Chris Van Vliet, because that ain't going to be it. That's a blank. That's a blank. People hear Chris Van Vliet and they think David Bixenspan. Like, or they think Geraldo Rivera. Like, no. This man he's not an investigative journalist. Before he was doing wrestling, he was doing red carpet 45-second talkie bits on the train that go into the theater. Okay? That's the type of journalism we're getting. And there's a place for that. Don't look at Chris Van Vliet and go, man, why didn't he ask X, Y, and Z? Because that's not his job. That's like saying, I have the flu. How am I going to combat the flu? And then somebody telling you, hey, drink Surge. It's not the same. Now, I get it. Chris Van Vliet is milquetoast for a lot of people, including Marcus. Marcus can't do it. Am I right? Am I speaking out of turn?
No, you are correct. I can't do it. I don't know if, I'm going to say it's my personality makeup. It's the same reason why I struggle with banter. It's just like small talk is really exhausting to me. And I find Chris Van Vliet to just be 45 minutes to 90 minutes, it might be 45 seconds of just soul-sucking small talk. And I love that. It saps the energy out of me. It makes me so grumpy so quick. So no, yeah, he is, I don't turn to him for much of anything. And
you're not supposed to.
For even less.
You're not supposed to. Because he's not your news guy. He's not your if you're watching Chris Van Vliet for headline breaking news, you are watching the wrong guy.
He makes Facebook content that like your mom and dad or your uncle's like, hey, did you see this?
Yes.
Like, that's his job. And it's like a clip from 7 years ago.
And also, and in that same vein though, take that. And he is trying to be the soft way to open doors to people in the wrestling world that maybe you haven't seen before. Like, hey, Chris Van Vliet just did an interview with Batista, and he did an interview with Cody Rhodes, and now he's got this interview with, like, third guy, right? Like, he has a different mix of people, but the discussion is not about Chris Van Vliet. The discussion is about Ricky Starks. So, Ricky Starks may have had what some may say the best week ever, and some may say had the worst week ever, depending on who you're talking to or who you're listening to. Okay? I remember you and I sitting on a couch during AEW's Full Gear, getting all of our energy from Ricky Starks cutting a promo in a GCW ring.
Yeah.
And oh, how the turntables. Since then, 1 and 2 GCW bookings have been pulled off the table. Brett Lauderdale is talking ish about Shad Khan. Ricky Starks may or may not have beef with AEW, which never is alluded to, but is also not like completely hand waved. Like maybe a shade of gray, maybe a thing that AEW loves to do with disgruntled or seemingly disgruntled employees, like MJF 2 years ago. Like, me personally, when I saw the Chris Van Vliet stuff, I'm like, oh, okay, well, they're talking about it. So if there was really something there, they wouldn't be saying anything, right? They wouldn't be talking about it.
Yeah.
It's a work, bro. Ricky says they ain't got nothing for him in AEW. So when he's got something, he'll come back. And what's Ricky going to say? Well, creative doesn't have anything for me, so I'm just going to do my best. And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to try really hard. And I'm going to do... No, that's not Ricky Starks. And you'd give him crap if that's what he said. But instead, he's doing his Ricky Starks thing.
Oh boy, where to start? Where to start?
You can start wherever you want. I think I've laid the table pretty well, right? So
all right.
Let's get to the root of the matter.
Sure.
Ricky Starks comes into GCW. The Chris Van Vliet interview happens. In between time, there's stuff said about Shad Khan from Brett Lauderdale.
And
now
GCW wrestler, independent contractor, does not reflect the views or opinion of GCW.
Correct.
Won't say his name. Yeah. Different wrestler. Correct.
Known action figure socialite. Okay. Ladler of warmth. Yes. And so, like, stuff gets said, people get pulled from shows. And then people who they were supposed to be booked against say things in character. And we go from there. And then the discourse across the internet wrestling community is, well, if Ricky Starks really wants to wrestle, he should just go back to AEW.
Yeah, okay. So, I thought Joe did a great job on At Odds. Talking about just a little bit of insight with how difficult it is to book and get a date and keep a date and fulfill a date with a contracted TV worker, whether that's a WWE talent, an NXT, whatever, AEW, MLW, whatever. If you've got a contract, it can be extremely difficult to book that person, feel confident advertising them for a date, and then be able to fulfill that. It is a risky game to play. I've had examples where either I'm facing or I'm supposed to tag or work with contracted talent. And even at the time, they're on a per appearance deal or they are actually signed. And some of these things were advertised. Some of them were secrets. And day of, oh, that's not happening anymore. So-and-so's got to be X number of miles away at TV where they may or may not even be used. But that's just what it is. So to assume that Ricky Starks, any other talent, can just work any kind of dates they want to when they are not being used, it's just maybe a misinformed opinion. Because Ricky Starks, let's say the first week he's not being used by AEW, or 5 weeks or 10, whatever, he can say, "Oh man, I'm gonna go back out there and I'm gonna get work." And well, guess what? The date still has to go through AEW talent relations, which has seen some turnover. There's been different people to talk to.
Yeah. I think the two notable ones that are the names that are floating out there it was Christopher Daniels and now it is Sean Dean.
So getting a date approved, being a Fed that's approved, because you can't just work any old indie. It has to be a place where the TV or the TV company is okay with you working because of backstage conditions, the ring conditions, which is a big one. Who else is on the show? What kind of turnout does this event get? They don't want to loan their talent out to a place that is going to have trouble filling the seats for the building that they packed, even with that talent booked. So there's a lot of variables that go into getting a place approved for a booking before you can even get to fulfilling the date. It is hard to be one of those companies that can get dates on TV talent. You have to build up a reputation as to not stiffing people on pay, not being late with pay, paying half up front, whatever it is that they're being asked to doing. You have to be able to be a company that can do those things. So the list is already short to begin with of places that you can work. If you are a wrestler, do you really want to put yourself at extra risk working the indies if you are a TV talent and you are working with somebody, maybe they don't have the timing of people that you're used to working in the company. You're kind of used to working with people in a bubble, the same 15, 20 people you're used to working with. Once you get outside of that, it gets dangerous. Times are just different. There used to be a time where you could just meet up with somebody for the first time and the two of you have seen wrestling before. The two, you know what it's supposed to be. There's a good guy and a bad guy. Talk it over, go out there, figure it out. Tell a story, come back. Everybody's safe and unharmed. Everybody gets paid. Sometimes it's not so easy when you get to different companies. It's not so easy at television. Wrestling has changed, and some of the demands have become a lot more excruciating of what is expected of you in the ring. So does this person do their move safely? Are they over with the hometown audience? Are they mostly non-problematic? Like, there is a whole list of things to check off before, okay, we're okay with this person facing our talent at this show, which we know will look good, treat our person good, and deliver on everything that is promised. So that is hard, just being one of those companies and getting one of those dates. On the wrestler end, you're risking injury, picking up basically extra work on the weekends that may or may not be covered by, quote unquote, your full-time gig. In wrestling, those injuries can vary from broke my finger, it's going to be weird for a week or two, to, oh my God, I'm paralyzed, or dead. There is a wide range of injuries in between. But anytime you get in the ring, you have to accept falling somewhere on that scale. So do you want to jeopardize putting yourself in a position to make more money on TV, to achieve the goals and dreams that you want, just so you can keep your name out there, get work, scratch whatever creative itch you have as a performer, competitive itch, whatever, to go do that on weekends? Not that easy. Not that easy. Likewise, all that risk. Do you want to put that at risk for your full-time company? Which isn't a full-time job, quote unquote, again. You are an independent contractor. So do you want to be contracted to go do a job that you don't want to do? And I don't mean job as in laying down doing a job. I mean being part of a storyline, working in matches, doing the same thing over and over again when your talent, your ability, your output has met and exceeded everything that has been asked of you. And I don't know if that's what's going on. I have no clue. I can just me looking in. But I'm Ricky Starks. I came in with the Cody thing. I over-delivered. Got me a contract. Team Taz. FTW title. Came in with the group. Over-delivered. Feud with Hobbs. On track. Met expectations. Got sabotaged a bit. Company was really packed. They moved to TV to do some different things. Met expectations, I'd say. The MJF storyline. Homie dog walked MJF 3 times around the block in every aspect of that feud. In the ring, on the mic, backstage, look, presence, all of it. There's no reason I don't think Ricky Starks should be AEW World Champion, given some of the opportunities that other people have had in that company. And you can go through all their steps in his AEW career. The team with Big Bill, which was kind of the last main thing we saw him do. Got Big Bill over, got himself over. Felt like a little bit of 2004 Edge. Like, hey, we've been here before. What's next? Got Snake Bit with the Phil storyline, which I think was really going to boost him up and make him a full-time main eventer in AEW. He has delivered.
But then
he has delivered.
You also go, though, they transition out of the Phil storyline into that mini program with Dragon.
Oh my gosh. And did he ever, from Bryan Danielson's mouth, like one of his favorite matches, Ricky Starks proved that he was a main eventer. The intensity in that match is insane. I think they have 2 matches. I love them. Answered the bell. Thought he did great.
Mm-hmm. But the one thing everybody holds that everybody holds their head to as you take a purple drink, is one of his last interactions on TV with Adam Copeland.
Mm-hmm.
And the Vanilla Midget the Vanilla Midget incident, where Ricky brought out the leash again, and he hooked up another dog right to it. Ricky Starks, absolute dog walker, about ready to walk another dog, and Edge pulls a low-hanging fruit card, and then Ricky gets the blame for it because Edge didn't know what to do.
Right. Like, I can see within wrestling, as a heel, you're not always supposed to get the last word in. That's for the babyface. A promo should reflect a mini match. It's just with words. So when you see that Edge struggling a little bit and he hits his line and that's supposed to be his closer, when you kick out on 2 and don't have anything else planned and you kicked out of his finish right there, that's hard. But again, on the Ricky Stark side of things, he's trying to get to where Edge has been. And you know how you do that?
You do what he did.
By proving that you are untouchable. on the mic, in the ring, appearance, entrance, aura, as the kids say, you have to be untouchable. And that's what Ricky Starks did. We've seen other acts do it. They haven't gotten any blame for it necessarily. Some have, some haven't. But we can also talk about we won't talk about, but this is a whole other can of worms, a whole other different discussion. A lot of people hang on that low hanging fruit that Edge pulled by saying that he's a Rock knockoff, from dressing nice to the haircut to the rap on the mic that he has. He's just the Rock. He's just a Rock ripoff. And to that, I would challenge you. Okay, you tell me the black main eventer that Ricky Starks is supposed to model himself after. Because we have white versions of that all throughout wrestling. We could just go back to 2015, 2016. I would say the two guys that everybody kind of modeled themselves afterwards were Kenny Omega and Seth Rollins. Good or bad, whatever. I just think those were two guys that were doing their thing. And we're on like 2 permutations removed from them now. Switchblade Jay White, Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher. I could go on, baby. You see who they model themselves after, and the line goes on, and it kind of switches every 5, 6, 7 years. If you are a black talent, who are you supposed to pull from? Because it's been over 20 years, and we still don't have somebody to model ourselves after other than The Rock. So maybe you can sit with that and think about that the next time you want to call Ricky Starks a Rock ripoff. I think a lot of people have it wrong when it comes to, well, Ricky Starks should call Tony Khan. Whether he has or hasn't, I don't know. But I can say as an independent contractor, you are an equal. You have the power. The company needs to contact you because they need you to come do a job. If you're getting mailbox money, or you're in a good spot where you've made your money, or you have other sources of income, you don't need to go back to them. You can sit out your contract. They can try to freeze you out. It's not the same as it was before. There's Twitter, there's Instagram, there's going live. There's third-party vendors for you to still get merchandise made of. There's a lot of ways to keep your name out there if you are in the process of, quote-unquote, being frozen out. So that's not where the power lies. It's not on the talent to come crawling back to the company. It's the other way around. But that's just me. Maybe that's where I stand as an independent contractor. But I think a lot of people think, oh, well, it's work. You should just go into work. But wrestling is not like any other field of work, whether you want to equate it to sports, where you do sign a contract and you are paid that money and you are competing to keep your roster spot, or you want to equate it to punching in for 40 hours a week or whatever, or being a salaried employee. Wrestling is not like those things. You have to factor in the element of danger. You have to factor in the creative aspect of it. You have to factor in the financial aspect of it. And the fact that how you are booked and presented is very much the reality when it comes to securing the next bag. How many times do we say, oh, Bobby Eaton, Brad Armstrong, Lance Storm, this guy, that guy, all great talents in ring, but just they were never going to be world champ, or they were never going to be above this level. Well, not to say anything about them, but I'm just using those guys as examples, and there's hundreds of more guys and girls. But that happens because you allow yourself to be put into that box. And if you are Ricky Starks and you are on the cusp of superstardom in your company, you got to put your foot down and say, hey, I've done the tag team thing. I've done the mid-card thing. I've done the stable thing. Knock, knock. It's time to give me a shot as an actual main eventer. Because I knocked it out of the park when I've had trial runs or whatever on TV. And if the company wants to say, we don't see you that way, well, as an independent contractor, you have the right to say, I'm not coming back so you can job me out. And I can hopefully go get another bag with WWE. And then when you go to WWE or you go to another place and they say, well, you know, you've spent the last 9 months barely on TV and getting jobbed out. We see you as a tag guy. We see you as a mid-card guy. Here's what that spot pays. A little bit different than punching a clock. A little bit different than getting a pay bump at the end of the year based on your performance or check marks or how your company does or whatever. The only person who looks out for you is you. It has to be that way. Wrestling's a good business because it's a tough business because only the strong survive. And that might mean having to not communicate and sit out your contract if you're also not being communicated to. I also feel like that's a thing that gets overlooked a little bit. Is there have been other talent that have left AEW that have said, hey, communication about my contract, whether I was getting renewed or not. Some people have said it's good. Some people have said it was not so good. I think AEW has been given the benefit of the doubt, as that is a learning curve that they're going to have to learn how to handle as they start having more contracts and more talent come to an end and depart with people. But like, why? I haven't heard anybody reference that. But for some reason with Ricky Starks, it falls all on Ricky Starks to contact them. And I'm just like, there seems to be a history with, again, I'm not there. I don't know anything, but just judging from what other people have said, there seems to be a history, a pattern, an area of growth as far as the communication from the talent relation side of things to the talent in question. Don't know if that's actually the case. No idea. Just going off of what other people have said that have departed the company. I think sitting at home not doing anything's cool. So, Ricky Starks, keep getting big. Keep taking that chicken and rice, brother. Keep getting them checks. I like Ricky Starks. I think he's a main eventer. You know, there are other people with far duller tools in their toolbox that are getting opportunity after opportunity and that are being hyped up as, oh, this guy's next, this guy's next. And I've yet to see them over deliver. Sure, they can give you, maybe they can keep pace with the top act of the day. If they stand out, anything specific about them, for me, it's a hard no. You know, I look at Adam Page, I see how he's presented on AEW, and to me, I'm like, I think there's more room for that with the Ricky Starks. To me, that's the level that he should be on. I think that's the level that he's earned. I think that's where his work has led him. Again, I'm not booking, but as somebody who's watched a lot of AEW, somebody who has been watching since the beginning, there's a lot of opportunity going out to people who haven't delivered with 3, 4, 5 times the amount of opportunity as a Ricky Starks. So whatever he ends up doing, whether he does get indie dates, whether he comes back to TV, whether he sits at home for anywhere between 6 months to 3 years, as the internet would say, I hope he's good. I hope he's good. I hope he's chill. I hope brother gets paid.
I completely agree. I completely agree. And I want to come back. I actually want to circle back on a couple of things you talked about because I don't think we're done. There's a little more juice here I'm going to squeeze out, okay? First thing you mentioned is the comparison of this to sport and the comparison to other things. The difference is that in sports, it is very much a meritocracy.
Mm-hmm.
A receiver or a player is only as valuable as how they perform on the field. Case in point, not to make this a sports conversation, Justin Tucker. Known across the globe as the kicker, right? Number one. The best.
Probably a Hall of Fame kicker. Like,
Hall of Fame kicker.
Actively very hard to do.
Yes. But now it appears his foot has turned into a brick or it's the end of a pool noodle. And now people are wanting his head. And of course, like some people are like, he means too much. He means too much to the franchise. Can't get rid of him. He's the heart and soul of whatever. But sport is very much a meritocracy. Whereas in professional wrestling, you mentioned it, your perception is your reality, right? Mm-hmm. How people perceive you is your reality. If, let's say, for example, if Danny Garcia were in the same position as Ricky Starks right now, okay, I would expect to see a Daniel Garcia going to every possible indie he could go to and wrestling. Why? Because he's a wrestler. That's how he presents himself. He presents himself as a guy who will fight whenever, wherever, versus whoever. Ricky Starks does not present himself like that. Mm-hmm. Ricky Starks presents himself as a man who, when he is there, he is to be talked about. Spotlight on him. And if he were to bebop around to place after place after place after place, sure, the first place he lands, the spotlight is blinding. But it is diminishing returns the more Ricky Starks puts himself out in front of crowds of 1,000, 500, 250, 125, 75, 45 people. And then eventually, Ricky Starks, quote, going to work, has now undercut him on his perceived value from the start. The same thing happened with MJF and AEW 2 years ago. MJF on TV called Tony Khan a effing mark. And then left. He didn't go to a bunch of indies. He didn't go get work. But he sure was quick to talk crap about AEW anytime he had the chance. And when MJF comes back, heroes effing welcome. Roll out the red carpet for this guy. But Ricky Starks, who is doing less than MJF, not actively taking a dump on AEW at all, almost the opposite. He's like, I'd like to come to work. It's like, you come to me, I like, we work something out, everything's cool. But the second part of separating between meritocracy versus perceived value is you struck a nerve with permutations of characters. And this is where we loop back in Powerhouse Hobbs. Okay. You mentioned that people, when they look at Ricky Starks, they see, he's just The Rock. What are and with Powerhouse Hobbs, they're like, he's just Ice Train. Okay? aside from The Rock, the only other two, maybe three persons of color, three persons of color that black wrestlers can look to as inspiration is Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley, and Mark Henry. Mark Henry debuted in 1996. Bob Lashley debuted in 2004. Shelton Benjamin debuted in 2002.
I would throw MVP in there. Also 2005.
Okay. That's still 20 years removed of permutation. Meanwhile, as you were saying, AJ Styles turns into Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins turns into next guy. Next guy turns into next guy. Next guy turns into next guy. Right? Mm-hmm. And we say it all the time here. Copy an A, get an A. But even with luchadors, it's even worse with luchadors because there's like one flag to follow. Everybody's pointing at the North Star of Rey Mysterio. And like, yes, there's some Mystico talk. But like, really, if you wear a mask, you're trying to be the next Rey Mysterio. Debuted in 1995. You're trying to be the next right or wrong, remove the problematicness, Alberto Del Rio. Right? If you're an unmasked luchador,
yeah,
you want to be Alberto Del Rio. And
that's the run you're looking for. That's
the run.
That's who you're trying to steal from. That's who you're hoping to be compared to, because that was the last guy to have major success on TV.
Yeah.
In America.
Exactly. And it really is something where it's like, if the wrestlers are seeing that permutation and the wrestlers are evolving, are the fans following that permutation too? Do the fans see the transition? And they see, this guy is a familiar face because he looks like another guy I used to watch. But if it's not who you liked, then you can discredit.
Yeah.
I think it's very interesting and intriguing. I think talking about the permutations of wrestling and actually looking, I think that's something we could actually do here in a different conversation of trying to find wrestling's genealogical Adam and Eve. Like, how far back can we take the quote prototypical wrestler until we get to the point where we have to stop? Because that is like the first man, right? Or the first person.
Yeah.
I don't think we have to go very far. But I think that is a fascinating conversation.
Yeah.
Absolutely fascinating.
I think we can trace it back and kind of pick out the key stops along the way, the
right.
key evolutionary points.
That's right. The evolution of man. Just
yeah, we're still evolving out of the last major evolution, which was like 10 years ago, of a Ken Omega, a Seth Rollins, at least mainstream US, even indies. those two have kind of been the flags to follow. Yeah, if you are a person of color, those flags are planted way far back.
But it's not sour grapes. It's not coming from a place of hate. Like, we enjoy wrestling, all types of it, all flavors of ice cream, right?
And no, I think it's just like, oh man, there's not a 10-year. You can't go back to 10 years and say Ricky Starks is just pulling from this guy from 10 years ago, because that doesn't exist.
And like, I guess
can't say 15.
Yeah,
doesn't exist.
I guess the one thing is like,
can't even say 20. Doesn't exist.
Yeah. The only other thing I can think of is like the only other person who you can possibly point to, because I'm sitting here and I'm trying to reconcile for Swerve.
Mm-hmm.
Is Swerve doing a better R-Truth? Or is he taking pieces of like The Rock and pieces of R-Truth? But then, like, what's the other like, I feel like there's other permutation that's there where he's inspired from non-black sources.
Yeah, I think, I mean, like, if you're gonna like go back, like, Piper is probably the first name that I think that like jumps out and is like, had other projects going on while still in the wrestling sphere.
Mm-hmm.
Like Piper, Jesse the Body. Shout out Young Ed. I hope to hear you just do a Jesse the Body impression.
Yo, I need you to call in. I need you to call in to Add Odds whenever you kick out of your flu, and you need to do a question. You need to do a voicemail as Jesse.
Yeah, but yeah, that's a good question. Again, that's another rabbit hole for a different time. But yeah, if you made it through this far, thanks for listening to my thoughts on the Ricky Starks situation, having zero additional information than anybody else out there.
But it's an educated thought, right? And it's not to say that we're right and everybody else is wrong, right? But I think it becomes a very dangerous game if there is not a side of opposition that gives a different point of view than everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
It's used a lot, and I think I mention this all the time, but like, if 5 doctors are looking at the same patient and all 5 doctors come to a consensus, one of them has to disagree to bring up a counterpoint that they all work through together. They can't just they can't just all, because I said his leg is broken, or if you're like trying to find a diagnosis, right? Like, I think he has strep, 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 I think he has strep. And then one person has to come up with another idea. And you can quickly wash it away, but it's like,
this isn't even just being like, adversarial or
contrarian,
taking the other side, just contrarian, just for the sake of conversation. Like, no, like, as soon as I saw this situation and a lot of other situations like it, like, this is my thought process, because this is just the other side of the coin.
And at least for Final Wrestling Place, Absolute Ricky Starks is a main eventer, and Powerhouse Hobbs is a main eventer.
They both go in a good place.
They're both good place Hall of Famers in my book. Ricky, don't do anything bad. That's all I'm asking. Just keep it tight, Ricky. Don't do anything stupid. Speaking,
Keep it tight.
oh my God! Did you see that part in Survivor Series where Big E is in a full squat doing like a hand twister? Dog,
Your mommy, your dad, and your family, and all the what you love.
I see you working. You try to keep it tight. Oh, Big E always be tighter. Big E is the man. But we are shifting gears to viewer's choice. We watched Survivor Series, so you don't have to. And if you did, cool. We can see if we align. But we're here to give you the must watch, the must skip, and the MVP of Survivor Series. And I want to start right off with a must skip.
All right.
I
mean,
Gunther,
should I say Survivor Series 2024, emanating from the Rogers Arena in Vancouver, British Columbia?
Oh, yes. Spoiler-free card. Please, go ahead.
They say this was the third pay-per-view / I'm not going to say
Premium live event.
Thank you. They say this was the fourth. There's been 3 others. Rock Bottom, WrestleMania 6, WrestleMania 18, but there's also been SummerSlam 2004.
No,
I think was it from Vancouver specifically?
It's from British Columbia.
British Columbia. Okay. All right. Well, then that's different.
Yeah. Because I think the only events that have been held in British Columbia was In Your House International Incident.
Okay. Rock Bottom.
And
yeah, they haven't been back since Rock Bottom.
And then War Games, yes.
Okay.
And the last time they were in British Columbia for television is the last SmackDown, or one of the last SmackDowns before the pandemic.
Okay.
No, SmackDown New Year's Revolution, January 5th, 2024.
Okay.
So, like,
good for them.
Yeah, good for them. Good on British Columbia, the western coast of Canada.
Yeah, but if you haven't been watching WWE, this is Survivor Series, which is now home to the War Games matches. They do the 2 rings, the whole deal. We had 5 matches on the card, I believe. We had the Women's War Games match with Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Io Sky, and Bayley taking on the Judgment Day's Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Liv Morgan's also the WWE Women's Champion, or Women's World Champion. Nia Jax, the WWE Women's Champion. Tiffany Stratton, the Women's Money in the Bank holder. And Candice LeRae. We had for the United States title, LA Knight defending against Shinsuke Nakamura. We had a triple threat match for the Intercontinental title. Sheamus took on Ludwig Kaiser and champion Braun Breaker. We had singles match for the World Heavyweight Championship as Gunther defends against Damian Priest in what is a return bout from SummerSlam. And then we had the Men's War Games match of the original Bloodline with CM Punk taking on the current Bloodline, Solo, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, the infamous Tonga Loa, and Big Bronson Reed.
Bonza.
So, Mr. Tim, you wanted to go must skip out of the gate?
Yep. I cannot any longer watch matches where the conclusion happens before the match even starts. Okay. I'm getting old. It's hard to suspend my disbelief. Must skip Gunther and Damian Priest. There was a 0.0 chance that Damian Priest was winning this match. And it's tough to do. I know it's tough to do. And maybe I'm too close to the sun nowadays. And I watch too much, and I've watched too much. And maybe I'm a little more sour. But I really did they have a good match? Sure. But for a world title match with a dude who was a made man coming out of WrestleMania, and now he's just getting pushed right back into more Judgment Day crap.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me you're lost without telling me you're lost. We just talked about Ricky Starks. If Ricky Starks were to go back to AEW, they'd be Damian Priesting him. He'd come in, he'd fight the world champ, and then he'd get beat up by Team Taz. I don't know. Like, he'd get beat up by somebody, right? And now he's going to get lost in the shuffle, and he's going to be with nothing happening Finn Balor. One half of your tag team champions, mind you.
That one was, I don't know, weird to me, but just like confirmed what we talked about. Was it back in like October, where it was like the cell match should have been Balor and Priest. Nothing against McIntyre and Punk, who went on to have an all-timer.
Right.
But like the Judgment Day breakup had to go on the back burner because of Punk and McIntyre. And I think maybe the similarities between the two feuds, or both can't occupy the top spot of Raw's A feud.
Right.
And this was just kind of confirmation of that to me, where it was like, okay, now they're trying to go back to Balor and Priest to heat it back up so it can get a true
blow
off. Which, can they make it all the way to the Rumble? I mean, that's the first weekend in February. It's a sneaky amount of time. Saturday night's main event, maybe that's something else they can put on the card, but it looked like the card was already pretty flushed out, and you have Cody and Kevin Owens on the show as the headliner, so maybe it's the first Raw on Netflix. Maybe that's the big main.
Yeah, right now, Saturday night's main event only has 2 matches. It's Cody and Kevin, and then it's the finals of the Women's United States Championship tournament.
Okay, so yeah, they don't need another big match. So yeah, it's got to be the Raw on Netflix. That's what I'm thinking.
Which from what we understand is going to go back to 3 hours.
Oof.
Did you hear that? That in 2025, both Raw and SmackDown will be 3 hours.
Joe said it. I've been saying it. Other people have said it. WWE TV is not meant to be consumed from 8 to 10 or 8 to 11 in one sitting. WWE content is made for you to parachute in, to catch what you want to catch live. And that's like for exceptions. Weekly, it's meant to be consumed by YouTube.
Yeah, it's all clips. It's clippable.
If you were still a sit downer and watcher of WWE TV, I feel for you. Or
sometimes
you probably enjoy it, so maybe that's good for you. Maybe that's good for you. But
usually when I am, there's
rough.
something else I'm doing. It's on in the background. WWE is great passive entertainment. But yeah, man, World Heavyweight title must skip.
Yeah, I think I had like one fix that could have changed all that.
Okay,
which was just make it Falls Count Anywhere. Have Gunther actually have to defend the title in a match, because he has the upper hand in any singles match, is straight up one-on-one in the ring. but this is the return match, and you've been telling the story of, well, if they fight in the streets, if they're fighting backstage, if they're fighting around ringside, Priest has got the upper hand. Okay, so make it a Falls Count Anywhere match. And then you do the Balor interference, which will still get the reaction that you want. It practically happened in front of the referee anyways. You can still have Gunther big boot him if you're looking for something else down the road there. Literally nothing has to change, except now maybe Priest can actually win this, because the story you've been telling is he's been punking out Gunther every opportunity he gets outside of the ring. But, and I would say that gives you more variety on the card, because you got 2 matches that are locked into the 2 rings. But maybe more on those in a little bit.
Yeah, who knows? Is there what about you? What's must watch or must skip?
I'm gonna give a must watch to the Intercontinental title match, Triple Threat.
Heck yeah.
I thought those dudes went out and they absolutely rocked it. Really enjoyed what they did. Thought they knocked it out of the park. It did seem to accomplish 3 different goals, which I think is really hard for a match to do. I think 1 should be everybody's goal 99% of the time. I think trying to accomplish 2 things in a match is doable, but a tougher challenge. But this serviced everybody in the match. It got Kaiser moreover being in mid-card, getting him out of Gunther's shadow, which I feel like this is the 2nd time they're trying to do that, but it feels like a stronger recommitment to it, with him having Gunther's blessing to go out and get the title. He got moreover as a heel by pulling the ref out and taking that moment away from everybody as Sheamus winning the Intercontinental title. I thought that was really good stuff that heaped some heat on him. Showed that he can go in a WWE style big match. I don't think there was any question about that, but that box got checked again. And for Sheamus, continual lovable babyface, been around for however many years. Everybody loves him, still over, and heap some simpy on him because he just couldn't match up with Braun Breaker, who I might have, this is preliminary, I might have to do a shameful reconceding.
What about?
He might become world champion with the name Braun Breaker.
He's gonna. He was always gonna. All of you people just, he's not gonna do nothing until his last name's Steiner. No, we just renamed the Frankensteiner the Breakensteiner, and that's fine. Like,
it's so dumb. It is so dumb. But I think I underestimated the majority of the WWE's willingness to just eat the slop. Like,
it's just a name.
He sounds like a Steiner. He looks like a Steiner. He is a Steiner. He wears Steiner stuff. Most everything about him is an homage or a loving tribute to his family, but not his name.
Cool. Do it on your own.
It's you can't say do it on your own when everything about him is Steinerized.
Here's the thing. It's an homage if you take pieces.
IRS is doing it on your own.
I mean, so is Braun Breaker to a certain degree, right?
No.
Like,
no,
he's got, yes, he has copied the A, but he erased the name and he changed the name. I think it's lazier. I think it's lazier if you make him a Steiner.
I think it doesn't matter because you're telling and showing everything about him as a Steiner, but not his name. I don't think you get any extra points for doing it without the name when you take everything else but the name.
I think it's more.
No points are given.
I think what's more interesting is the fact that he's doing it with the name. Like, he's not letting a name cut the legs from under him. In this match, he for me, he is just triple stamped, double stamp of future world champ. If he's on the trajectory he's on now, what is it? Ceiling is the roof?
The ceiling is the roof.
He's going. He'll be a Money in the Bank winner in the next 2 Money in the Banks. He'll win the WWE title before then. He's already one of 4 people, I think, on WWE television. Wait, you have to think, because it's Cody, Sammy, Dragunov, and Braun Breaker are the only 4 people to have beaten Gunther on television.
Correct.
That's rarefied air. Like,
I think, and we'll get to our prognostications in our closing segment, but I think this Royal Rumble, if he's in the Royal Rumble match, I think this is the year where he gets the let's test the waters with the Final Four run.
Yeah.
Not unlike a 2014 Roman Reigns, and Reigns had the eliminations and made it to the final 2. So he had a little bit more behind him, but I think Breaker gets a handful of eliminations, and I think he gets some serious run in the Final Four.
I think it's a diesel push coming for him, especially in Indianapolis. Those dogs are going to be barking. Pat McAfee back on the call, being the ringleader, jumping up on his chair and barking like an idiot. It's going to be great. I'm going to go with another must watch, and that's the United States Championship match. LA Knight and Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah.
I hate that they pulled it off of LA Knight, but also you could not bring in Shinsuke Nakamura and hotshot him to the U.S. title to just have him lose to LA Knight.
Yeah.
That would significantly just castrate Shinsuke Nakamura on live television.
Like, you might as well rip up his contract and go pay him to go serve full time, like on top of how much he already serves.
Right. Like,
there was going to be no use for him on the roster.
Absolutely. Just make him the WWE ambassador to Japan, and that's it. Right? Instead, we have a new look for Shinsuke, a new theme for Shinsuke, a new intensity in Shinsuke. LA Knight still looks strong, but this is a new Nakamura. Some would say new Nakamura, same as the old Nakamura, like not old Nakamura like the Nakamura we've seen in WWE, but he looks focused in the ring. He looks crisp, and that blind eye Kinshasa to the back of the head. Whoo. It's the business.
Yeah, man. I really liked the latest reinvention of Shinsuke. I like his look. I like his ring attire. Kabuki. Yeah, Shinsuke Nakamura is great. He's great. Maybe timeless. He is fantastic. I like him a lot. Still got the goods. Him and LA Knight had a really fun and interesting match on what was supposed to be the throwaway spot on the card. Was anything but that. I thought it was a good move to pull the title off of LA Knight, not just because you can't cut off Nakamura's water again, but couple boos for LA Knight. People might, maybe this is, WWE trope. This is a trope all throughout wrestling, but especially WWE. When you turn somebody babyface, much like they did with my poor Diesel, you also take away all the reasons why we started to cheer them. And LA Knight was cool and fun. Well, cool is objective, but I thought LA Knight was cool and fun because it was good to have a heel be corny and talk smack. And I don't know if he's doing so much of that. I don't know if it plays off so well for an elongated face run. Maybe we got to get back to LA Knight being confrontational. I thought that was a key component of the LA Knight character, was he was confrontational with anybody. And that is the secret ingredient in wrestling that makes it better. And when it's missing, you can't put your finger on it, but it's conflict. And that's the LA Knight character. Conflict with anybody that he came across. So let's get back to that with LA Knight. And see where we are come trademark Royal Rumble season. Trademark WrestleMania season.
Trademark sign point season.
There we go.
But yeah, man, Shinsuke and LA Knight crushed it. So that just leaves 2 matches, Marcus. It's both War Gameses. Which one do you want to tackle first?
I'm gonna give him a skip to the women. And it's just because they went on before the men. I'm just old enough to know what War Games is supposed to be. And I think people coming out of their cage and running down to the ring, and the primary focus being on, let me hit L1 and down so I can look underneath the ring and then select from the rolling menu of weapons to select. I absolutely hate. I know it is the audience anticipation, and you want the audience, the first thing when they go in the ring, they're being conditioned, a table. And you wait until close to the end to pull out the table. And that's one of the last things you bring in. And everybody loves it. And then you use the table. I know the WWE has approved plunder. But man, the cage is dangerous enough. I don't need a bunch of plunder. And I hate when the emphasis is on all of the plunder or the toys being brought into the ring. I can't stand it. Especially when you grab the plunder. If that red light's on, you better be turning on it for 734 feet, like prime Albert Pujols. Because if you're not going to send it, don't even bother. Because it looks bad and it hurts.
Yeah, Nia Jax got exposed a little bit trying to swing that chair. And had to pull up short. And it just looks weird. The eye, it does not pass the eye test, as some would say. It's crazy. I thought the women's War Games match as a whole, like, typically the women do okay. With so many returning pieces into War Games from previous War Games matches. Like, Io's been in every one of them. Rhea's been in a few. Candice has been in a few. Raquel's been in a couple. Bailey's been in a few. Bianca's been in a few. I think the majority of the heel team had not been in a War Games.
Yeah, except for Candace.
Except for Candace and Raquel.
Yeah.
Whereas on the other side, I think everyone had been in one except Naomi.
Yeah.
But either way, man, it seemed like everything was a half step behind.
Yeah.
It was
It seemed
never
like that last year too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And thankfully, like Miss Pam, like willed that one last year to like this will be good.
Yes. I don't think she did a good job this time with it, but also it wasn't hers.
Yeah, she's not in the driver's seat like she was last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was a good hand in this one. Unfortunate for the women. It is a vehicle. Rhea Ripley looked cool.
If there's one consistent thing about WWE, Rhea Ripley gonna look cool.
Yep.
No matter what. Yeah.
Sweet Dead by Daylight mask for her. It's a video game thing.
Sure.
But she's had the mask of the Huntress, which makes sense for her. But it's cool that I got to see Buddy Matthews do some Rhea stuff on the pay-per-view, and then I get to see Rhea do some Buddy Matthews-ish today.
I'm going to be Dead by Daylight if I see another cosplay in wrestling.
It's just, it's a thing. It's an homage. Braun Breaker's homaging the Steiners. What's wrong with taking inspiration from other things to make a cool action figure? Do you not want
Because it's okay to do it within wrestling. It's not okay to like take from like other things and then implement it into like, oh, this is my character. I'm doing this thing. I'm not talking about Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley can do whatever she wants, but in general, like just less taking from pop culture, especially like video games and superheroes. Like, what if Stone Cold Steve Austin like came out at Fully Loaded 99 dressed as like Duke Nukem or something from Doom? Like, it just,
that's not him though.
It shouldn't be any wrestler because you are a superhero. You are a superhero. Batman, I don't know, maybe he would. I don't read comics, but like Batman would not take like Green Lantern and be like, oh, I'm also Green Lantern on top of being Batman. Like, no, you are Batman. You are the superhero. Be unique in that. That is how I feel.
I get it.
It's less offensive for Rhea Ripley because she has more instances of being unique and being one of one than taking and implementing from pop culture or other things. So but like when you do it so often that I don't think a kid could dress up as you for Halloween because you were always dressed up as something else from something else, that it gone way over the line. But it also does take me immediately out of it when you are a video game character for your big fake fight.
Just tell me now that you hate the New Day.
I didn't like when the New Day did it.
They still do it.
I don't know. I don't watch Raw, but I don't like it.
This past week on Raw, they did a Dragon Ball Super reference.
Hate it. I really hate it. You know what I did think was cool? I thought the Color by Numbers tights is their best stuff. That was a unique idea. They get that from a video game or something?
No, they got it from a Color by Numbers book.
Dragon Ball Z? Yeah, that's dope. That's sick. But like taking from video game or anime or I don't know, it's just not for me. It's not for me.
I get it.
It's not for me. Far too many people do it, and I think it lessens you as being larger than life.
I think like that's just
Hulk Hogan. Imagine like prime Hulk Hogan, 1989, coming to the ring as Super Mario.
Marcus,
doesn't make sense.
If the wrestlers were built as big as Hulk Hogan, they wouldn't have to.
Well, maybe that's another conversation. Maybe we need to get back to that, which it seems like we are in some instances, which I am all for.
I mean,
But maybe
yes,
we
but
need to
also
get back
no.
to more people being superheroes and larger than life than needing to borrow from other larger than life entities to try to add to your own. I don't know. Let me know if I'm wrong. T&M shows in the soon to be named network Discord. I'm not wrong. You just don't like what I'm saying because but it's fun. Sometimes fun doesn't mean good. It's also fun to eat Halloween candy year round. But you know what? It's bad for you. You should do it. You should do it all the time. You should, have a little bit here and there.
I think
a little bit here and there is okay. And I think when it happens all the time, I think we've gone way too far, and it is actively bad for the product and the performers and for the fans. Because when you come out and so somebody has to immediately go on their phone, oh, what is this person from? Oh, what character is he dressed up as? Oh, I know the answer to that. Enough. Just be you. Be large in life. Be something.
I think
this is why I can't do banter, because I say mean things. That hurts people.
No, I don't think you're being mean. I think you're slightly off base. I'm with you at being something. However, right now we live in the world in which wrestlers are people. Wrestlers aren't superheroes.
Bad world. I don't want to be in it. Take me out.
You're already here. You're talking about Kenny Omega and Seth Rollins. Yo, Seth Rollins been cosplaying as Mugatu for the last 5 years. And Kenny Omega's literally, his move is named after a video game character.
Yeah. Final Destiny or whatever the game is.
What's it called? Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy.
I swear to God. But here's the thing. You said that people have the need to take from other places to increase their value. I don't think that's what it is. I think that the word need you're using, it's doing a lot of lifting. I think people want to, because it gives another way for people to connect with them on a different level that's not just wrestling.
And I don't think you're supposed to connect with these people.
Okay, so what about Swerve dressing up as doing the Tyler Creator stuff?
That's different. That's Swerve. Swerve is something I could.
Okay, but Swerve, who is something, is stealing from someone else. But it's cool. It's cool if he does it because he's your guy. But if anybody else does it because they're not your guy, then it's a problem. Got it? All right, cool. Just want to make sure that the Marcus logic is still logic. Good to know.
Correct.
Good to know.
Correct. Yep.
Fair enough.
You got it.
Yep. Nailed it. Let's talk about how bad this men's War Games match was.
Oh, man.
What part do you want to talk about the most? Do you want to talk about CM Punk and Roman Reigns getting a glamour shot of being the odd couple in a shark cage for 5 seconds? Do you want to talk about how the big foil for a 2-ring War Games cage is to lock the front door on a cage that doesn't have a top? I'm sure everybody got their favorite, their heaping helping of the Marvel standoff, right?
Oh gosh.
Yo, I have to tell you, hearing both you and Joe opine on how much you hate that, I laughed hysterically when I got it. Because I could just hear you both groan from my seat in another state.
They got the shot on SmackDown. Like, I don't know why you need to do it in person at the pay-per-view every single year.
At least
you have
this
like
time,
6 weeks of build. You can't do the West Side Story spot at some point in time.
At least this time it kind of made sense.
The Survivors. This was probably the best that they've gotten to a bad spot. Yes.
I mean, Roman had to beat up 5 dudes by himself to get to the other side of the cage to pick everyone up and then dust their shoulders off and then pretend nothing happened.
Great tweet that I sent to you and Brett earlier today. The caption is Punk's on the ground, and everybody else is standing up, and Roman's looking down at Punk. And I'll paraphrase, but really gonna pick Cassius Ohno over me?
With Roman just looking down at Punk.
Yeah, I don't know if they need to get into the Shield aspect of, hey, Punk kind of brought the Shield in and all that. I don't know if they need to get to that if we're going to get to Punk and Roman, but that'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where it goes. Here's one of my big problems with War Games, the men's War Games match. And this I understand completely is a me problem, okay? But Triple H has now drilled into us that at big events, big things happen.
Mm-hmm.
There was no big thing that happened. So when the ending of the show is 4 people standing, pointing their fingers in the air, and one person doing a little nappy pose in the middle, and then we go to cut, and I don't see no final boss, bloodline rule. I don't see any. I don't see any. You mean to tell me The Rock don't have a passport? He can't get into British Columbia? Jacob Fatu and the Usos can get into Canada, but The Rock can't? Come on, dog. Get after it. What are we doing? The only redeeming factor I have from this entire match, I have two. So
Okay.
it's WWE using the phrase "sole survivor" for more than one person on a team.
You're correct.
I am here for Ozzilla Bronson Reed, and Jacob Fatu is that dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I wasn't so sold on Big Bonza, Bronson Reed in the Bloodline. It just felt like hey, we need 5 kind of fill in. But seeing him with the group in a match, I'm like, oh, this makes so much sense. Didn't realize what was missing. And maybe that's more because the Infamous has, maybe unbeknownst to him, slipped into a bit of a Vincent role. But Big Bonza Bronson Reed, I think he fits really well with this version of the Bloodline, and I say keep him in.
Yeah, man. Unfortunately, I think Bronson Reed jacked up his foot ankle real bad from the big
Squisher from the
tsunami off the top. He Adam Copeland himself on the bottom. But man, Jacob and Bonza, they did the thing. I absolutely felt the air in the room change when Jacob Fatu came out of the shark cage. The match was completely different.
Business picked up, man. Business picked up when he got out of the cage and walked down to the ring. He's just different. He's just different, and he's such a breath of fresh air still within WWE and this Bloodline story. He just adds so much to any match that he's in any segment he's a part of. Yeah, I hope I hope they've got big things planned for him. Because man, he's special.
Yeah, man, I hope so too. I really do. So with that said, do we have an MVP for the night?
My MVP, maybe it's a de facto, when in doubt, but I'm gonna give mine to the big dog, Mr. the tribal chief, Roman Reigns.
I'm giving mine to Braun Breaker.
Okay.
Braun, I think the Braun man did enough to solidify himself. Like, he has stamped himself into another. He has fast tracked his plans and his jet settingness up to the next stratosphere. I see him holding the Intercontinental title until he has no longer need for it. Right now, it's just legacy building for him, which is good. Intercontinental title needs a nice lengthy reign. I'm not saying year plus, but he can hold it until WrestleMania. Drop it at Mania. Drop it after Mania, like a little after Mania. Don't have him go to SummerSlam, but there's definitely room between WrestleMania and SummerSlam where he can drop it and then get Money in the Bank and then do something. So, but yeah, man, overall, I think Survivor Series for the most part is very skippable.
Yeah, a pretty skippable show.
Even with War Games. With War Games. It's not it.
Yeah, I know it's in the attraction, but now since they've gone away from it for the last 3 years, maybe enough time has passed where you could build to a traditional 5-on-5. But now you've introduced War Games. I think it's really hard to do a traditional 5-on-5 build and not include War Games.
Right. I think War Games is definitely the shot in the arm that Survivor Series, the event, needs.
Yes.
But I also think that WWE's War Games needs a new bar to follow. The template now is dry.
Yeah.
They need another next year. They need to change it up. Change the format somehow. Change the structure. Make it work. Right? Because it just... Maybe it's the I think what takes it out of me a lot of the times is the implementation of the weapons. Like, just get in the cage. And then, like, don't feel the need to give me a 15-minute match after everybody gets in the cage. Like, wear and tear needs to matter.
Yeah, like, I went back and watched some older War Games last night to kind of do a palate cleanse. And, like, what sticks out, it's not a standoff spot. It's not, this death-defying maneuver. It's really awesome punches. It's guys getting color. And it's just red-hot intensity.
Right.
And, like, I think Punk and Drew in the cell kind of reset, okay, what is a current day classic inside of the cell? And yeah, they implemented from the current. They stole a lot from the past. And, like, I think that's what WWE needs to do with War Games. Whoever's in there next year, get the fist going, fire them up, send some live rounds. Just make it intense. Make it intense, make it timeless, make it classic. Yeah. But yeah, we're in agreement. It needs to be not just freshened up, but, like, almost reimagined. Like, what is a good War Games? Because right now a good War Games is a table bump or two, somebody jumping off the top, West Side Story standoff, and you have a good War Games.
Yeah.
Yeah, needs to be reimagined. But Mr. Tim, you mentioned it a little bit earlier. We are approaching sign pointing season.
Yes.
And we were talking this week, and I think it's time for us to take another trip around the pool.
I think so.
You know, I see Joe is underneath the big umbrella with a lovely drink in his hands.
He's busy writing AEW. He's got AEW. He's scribbling it out. He's got the next packet ready to go.
He's sending it in the big air tube straight to TK.
Like a bank.
Like a bank.
He's sending his deposit through the air tubing.
Straight to the office of Tony Khan. You know, I'm a bit of a floater. I like to go back and forth. You're
both of ours Jimmy Jacobs. You know, you're Jimmy Jacobson all over the place.
Oh man.
Need an idea here, need an idea there, flip you around, do the whole thing.
I would prefer to be a JJ Dillon or a Jim Barnett. You know, just kind of on retainer for either company.
My boy.
Oh.
But yeah, man, I'm so here for the prognosticating sign pointing season. And this also means I'm prognosticating a little bit for Saturday night's main event.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. By the time we get to the Royal Rumble, Kevin Owens is the WWE champion.
Ooh, okay. All right.
It's Saturday night's main event. You got to do something spectacular and something special. KO is WWE champion.
All right, I can co-sign that. I like what you're putting down.
And it then gives Cody the rematch at Royal Rumble, which keeps him out of the Rumble match.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what we need.
Cody out of the Rumble. It also continues the tradition of Kevin Owens being out of the Rumble.
Yes. But so I have but with Kevin Owens being the WWE champion and Cody being out of the Rumble, it does leave a couple of options for who could win the Rumble this year.
Okay.
My odds-on favorite right now to win the Royal Rumble is Sami Zayn. Give me Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, WrestleMania for the WWE title.
Okay.
It'll work along with it because KO, his beef with Cody is the same thing that it can be with Sammy. Sammy left the bloodline. The people we fought are now the people you're running back to. There's beef. You can play that up in the lead up to the Royal Rumble. Sammy wins. It's him and Kevin. Which then leaves Gunther open. And there is the looming threat of the Goldberg retirement match that has been stated for 2025. But I think that match might go to John Cena.
Okay.
I think Cena might win because Cena has now been in the promotional packages for Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
I have a feeling John Cena is going to win the Elimination Chamber.
Okay.
And he will challenge Gunther at the WrestleMania.
All right. Okay.
So right there, it leaves so many other people open and dateless and not enough people going to prom, as Marcus likes to say.
Everybody needs a dance partner.
Everybody needs a dance partner. Okay. I don't know if it's Roman Jacob or if it's Roman Rock. Or is it Roman Punk and it's Cody Rock?
So I have my Royal Rumble winner.
Uh-huh.
And my winner
Is Dwayne?
Is the final boss.
The final boss.
I think The Rock is coming in.
Number 30.
29, 30.
Everybody else been eliminated. The countdown clock happens.
I think Bloodline is in the ring. Most of the Bloodline.
The new Bloodline. You got
Jacob, Solo, and probably Tama Tonga.
Yeah, because Tonga Loa is already out.
Tonga Loa and Big Bronson Reed will be out. But I think you've got 3 of the Bloodline in there when The Rock comes in. And I think they help The Rock win the Royal Rumble to face Cody.
So you think Cody does not have the title? Or you think Cody keeps the title to Mania?
If they actually do something interesting and have Cody win the title back from Owens at Royal Rumble, which I would be so on board with, I think you need to do an angle at Saturday Night's Main Event that ends up with Owens as champion.
Yes.
An angle, a finish, whatever. Get the title back on Cody at the Rumble. Just a nice, 6-week detour. And yeah, I think you do Cody and Rock at WrestleMania. And I think you have The Rock win the Royal Rumble.
Okay. So where does that leave Roman?
That is an interesting question. Because before this, I would have said, I think Roman's facing Cody at WrestleMania, or it's maybe they do the triple threat of Roman, Rock, Cody, but I figured Roman was going to be in that title picture somehow. It just seemed like he's going to be in it. But with Survivor Series, and it's a hard reset for CM Punk. He's done the full year in WWE, getting reestablished, hitting all the towns twice, getting healthy again, having these run-ins and bump-ins with people on the roster, sowing some seeds for things to get back, go back to a feud here and there. I would have thought that it was going to be Seth and Punk at WrestleMania. I mean, I had that from this event last year. I had Rollins and Punk at WrestleMania coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Rollins is going to be out. I don't know if they've got something else, but it seems like such a hard reset on Punk after the McIntyre feud to not have him really interact with Rollins and really go in so far with the Roman Reigns stuff and sinking his teeth into the bloodline stake. Heyman, the
favor,
the unknown favor, is the favor Punk just having Heyman in his corner for a title match? Maybe. Is the favor, Punk doesn't wear a white hat? Is the favor Punk being like, I'm probably going to need help winning the title at some point?
Mm-hmm.
Send out the big dog for a spear or something? Yeah, I don't know what the favor is going to be. Maybe I'm a baby. I think it's interesting, though.
I think it's interesting, too.
And I just think with Heyman and Roman there and the facials and body language of Roman Reigns, it's definitely not, this was not like a one-off. Like, this is not the end of the story. And I think we're gonna get Punk and Roman at WrestleMania
I'm cool with that.
in Mr. Phil's continual bid to main event WrestleMania. They will main event probably night one of WrestleMania, which I think is also a cool way to. You're always looking to, how do we make the night one main event mean more? Because the night two main event is always the real main event. But if you're gonna have Roman become your night one WrestleMania guy, I mean, that does something to night one of WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure does.
it might be Mr. Phil and Roman at WrestleMania.
I've also got 2 women's matches pegged so far.
Okay.
I think we're gonna get, for the women's tag team titles, I think it's gonna be Bianca and Jade versus Naomi and Bailey.
WrestleMania?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's what I think. Naomi's played third fiddle to Bianca and Jade this whole time. And the only person who's really had her back is Bailey. I think it'll end up coming around that it was Naomi and Bailey that jumped Jade
Okay.
to get her out of the match, or to get her out and set everything up. Smells too much like Triple H taking out Shawn Michaels
Okay.
before their SummerSlam match. Don't hut what you can't kill. But then my other women's match isn't actually a women's match. I think at WrestleMania 41, we will get Rhea Ripley versus Dirty Dominic Mysterio.
Okay. I can get behind that. Yeah.
I want it. It can only happen at WrestleMania. That's the feud. That's the blow off.
Yeah.
No matter how. Yep.
Right or wrong, it's just where we are still when it comes to mainstream intergender wrestling. Male, female, intergender wrestling. It's just where we are.
Mm-hmm.
On the whole. And it's beyond just the public perception. It also has to do with sponsors. It goes beyond sponsors to actual partners, be it the television companies, bigger partners like Mattel. There's a lot of brands involved that have to be okay with this. You just can't do it. But such a strong character like Rhea going up against Dom, who is such a weasel,
who's also such a strong character.
Yeah, in WWE, that can absolutely work.
I also think Charlotte Flair is coming back at the Rumble.
Let's go, girls.
And I really want it to be Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton at Mania.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's for a title or not, but I don't know how we'd get the title off Nia Jax by then, unless Tiffy cashes in on Nia. But Nia's had such a decent year. I would hate for it to be like she's good enough to carry The Rock to Mania and then drop The Rock. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think Nia at this point has earned a WrestleMania match. She's definitely a lot better than what she's been before.
Yeah, she'll be in one. Like, there's probably a battle royal or something she'll be in.
That's not, no. That's not good enough for me, partner.
To me, I actually want to get to Bailey and Charlotte at WrestleMania.
Okay.
They had the Money in the Bank match back in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty good, but there were so many, like, I don't know. There's a lot of play there. Yeah, I'm That's what I want. That's what I want. It's Bailey's a different performer now. Charlotte needs. She has sneakily missed a lot in her absence. So like, what does Charlotte look like in about to be 2025 WWE? I don't know where she fits in. I don't know if she is, somebody to call in for a big match. If she is a every week character anymore, I don't know. But I think it would be cool to put an unofficial pin or bookend of the horsewomen era of WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying you take them out back and take care of business, but like,
right.
This is probably the last chance you have to do some iteration of the horsewomen, because by next year, again, the cries are going to get louder for Bianca to be main eventing, Rhea, Tiffany Stratton. The Performance Center is just going to keep pumping out the athletes on the women's side of the roster to bolster the quote unquote women's division. I've said that 4 times tonight. Trademark women's division in WWE. Yeah. So this is probably the last chance I think you have to do Charlotte and Bailey in main events.
Yeah, and then you also have to think Becky Lynch is still running, or she's snooping around.
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like? When will she be back, if she's back? Yeah, there's a lot of different moving pieces. I'm curious who Braun Breaker has for Mania. I just thought about Seth. What if it's Seth Gunther? Instead of Cena.
I think Cena's definitely the better story.
Unless we get Cena Orton.
I think it's Cena Orton in a tag. I think it'd be really cool to do Cena and Orton versus Sammy and Kevin.
Okay.
And it gives it gives Owens like Cena and Austin at WrestleMania, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be really cool to get Zayn on the same side as Owens and going up against Orton and Cena.
We also have Logan Paul floating around too. We don't know what he's going to end up be doing. There's a lot of pieces, man. I'm looking forward to Royal Rumble. It just sucks that it's in February. I don't like that at all. But we'll get there. We'll figure it out as we go. So, let us know if we're off base on our second draft of sitting around poolside for WrestleMania 41, or if it's just much to do about nothing and we're just going to throw it all in the trash and it's going to be whatever Vince McMahon wants to do once Sports Entertainment Extreme opens up in January. Aside from that, did we miss anything this week, Marcus?
I feel like this is a pitch for me to remember something, which is not my strong suit.
No, it's not. It's me just asking if we
okay.
remembered if there was anything we didn't cover.
I mean, any weekly purchases?
Yeah, man. I got my. Well, it's not. I purchased it a long time ago, but it's finally here. I got my Nostalgia Gland stuff.
Oh, sweet!
And
That's a dope board.
I got my Robin Big skate deck, as well as my Rob Big and Meaty Death Row t-shirt.
Okay, that's the same one I have.
We talked about that a little bit on the draft show from last week. By the way, no slight to anybody who we didn't get on the first show. DJ, you're more than welcome. Adam, we'll think about it. There's a lot. There's the draft shows are few and far between. Not very often whenever we do them. So There will come a time where you guys' number will be called to do it if it is something that we keep up with.
Miss Tatum.
Miss Tatum too. Aside from that, I didn't really buy anything this week. What about you? Did you buy anything?
I took the little one on a little doll safari, just for her, little pre-Christmas toy hunt. So right now, she's really into all the Wicked stuff. She's not into Wicked actually, but all of the toys and branding she's into. So thankfully, all this stuff is pretty affordable. Shout out Target. So magic wands, dresses, mirrors, you name it. We've got pink and green Wicked toys all throughout. And then also took her to see Moana 2.
How was that?
Moana 2 was fine. I'm gonna give it a fine. I'm also not the biggest Moana fan, so
No?
I'm already starting. Nah, too many songs, man. Too many songs for me. Lion King is the sweet spot for how many songs you can have in a Disney movie.
I'm gonna do a count of Moana 2 when I watch it, and I'm gonna put it up against The Lion King. I think you don't remember
songs.
I don't think you remember how many songs are in The Lion King, dog.
Okay, but they're all good.
Okay, well now that's subjective.
Too many songs in Moana. They're too long, and if you were a Lin-Manuel Miranda fan, he didn't do the music for this. He was busy doing other stuff for Disney, so some of that is missing. If that's for you. Overall, Moana 2, I'd give it a middle of the road thumbs in the middle.
Fair enough.
But the concessions, probably like the worst concessions experience I've had at a movie theater. Not that I'm an often movie theater goer, but a line was, they only had 2 lines going, even though they have 6 registers. Only 2 were open. Grant, you got kids working back there, so what do you expect? I'm mad at the service. I'm not mad at the speed. None of that. It's the people in the line. Like, it's the movie theater. It's popcorn. It's candy. It's a little pretzel gimmicks. Maybe some nachos. It's your drinks. It's not like you're dealing with a 50-item menu. When you get up there, know what you want. Too many people not knowing what they want when they get up there. Not knowing how to pay. This is becoming an increasingly frustrating thing in 2024. Like, oh, do you guys accept fill in the blank form of payment? What happened to cash money? What happened to cards? Everybody got a different app to pay with now. I hate it. Also, if you're going to be a place that's like, oh, you can pay with our app, make sure like you have good service, good internet in your building, because my app doesn't work at the movie theater because there is no service, specifically in the lobby where you get all the food and gimmicks. So only made it through the line because everybody in front of me dropped out of the line except for 2 people, or 2 families, and went up, did the deal, got everything. $50, $50, $50 American dollars. That's all right. I'm grown. I can handle it. I know what I'm getting myself into when I get stuff at the movie theater. I understand it. Can I sneak stuff in? Absolutely. Do I want the experience for the little one of waiting in line, getting the gimmicks, whole deal. I did. That was a $50 price tag on that experience that I will not soon forget. Let me tell you. Made it back just in time to sit down and the movie started, and got there 20 minutes before the official call time on the ticket. So that meant we spent over 30 some minutes in line with popcorn, and I got the manager over here, this loud theatrical lady over here talking about, oh, concessions are a mess. I'm not talking about our workers. I'm talking about the people in line. Hey, lady, I can hear you. So, I don't know. Might have an email to send. Might not go back. We got other theaters in town, so might have to shop around, do a little theater hunt. But that was my movie theater experience.
Was this the one without doxing?
This was Regal. Dox a $1 billion company. Regal Cinema.
No, I was trying to think of like which where we're at.
This is the Regal.
Yeah.
Regal in the main part. Yeah.
Oh man, I was hoping you were talking about the one by the airport.
Oh no, nope. Nope. They've now gone up because of how bad this experience was, so they're up.
Ceiling is the roof.
Is a roof.
Take a little trip.
So yeah, light on the weekly purchases moving forward until Christmas time, because it's a lot of money for some popcorn and drinks. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm gonna be on a freeze myself. I gotta buy for a bunch of people, so that's gonna be fun. Making sure that I've got everything all my ducks lined in a row. Oh, I'm gonna make a name for myself here. But other than that, nothing else bought. Anything to plug, Mr. Marcus?
Mr. Pig's going to be down at VCW Wrestling on December the 7th, taking on Rex Lawless. Mr. Pig's going to politic for just a ground zero match. So good luck for Mr. Pig. Trying to get out of actually taking bumps and doing a traditional match. But that's it.
Sick. If that is everything, again, thank you guys so much for joining us. However you join us, especially through the soon-to-be-named network, soon-to-be-named-network.tumblr.com. So many great podcasts, At Odds of Wrestling, We Need Wrestling. Check all those guys out. You like hot sauce? Check out Wings on Wings. They got hot sauce for sale, Terminal Heat. It's there for you. I know for us, if you want to follow us on social media, you absolutely can. At Not the Tool Man for me, at the Wrestling Speakeasy for Marcus. If you know, you know. Go to our Linktree/TM shows. It has our everything, our Instagram, our Twitter, our Blue Sky, the podcast on whatever podcatcher you can think of. It's all there. And we'd love for you to tell a friend to check everything out. Go back and listen to the draft show. That's going to be evergreen content. If you missed that, check that out now. Me, Marcus, and Brett breaking down and drafting wrestling event names. Such fun to break down and do. Next week, Marcus and I are going to start on a little adventure, trying to give you guys a look at our favorite things. We'll leave it at that for now, but you guys have a wonderful week. Kiss your homies, tell somebody you love them. We'll be back here next week for more fun and excitement on the podcast. But Marcus, all that's left right now is to tell the people goodbye.
Bye, boys.